Good morning, one and all. I thank everybody for being here with us today. I appreciate the presence of all the students from across the nation. I'm Professor Anupam Samantre, your event host, moderator, and voice for today's session. Today we have Ms. Padmini Panse as our guest speaker. We welcome you on behalf of Team IIBM, ma'am. Ma'am is a young and dynamic entrepreneur, business consultant, and management trainer for almost 50,000 plus participants across Maharashtra. Ms. Padmini Panse is an honored recipient of prestigious Successful Woman in Management 2017 award. She is a very training-centric person with a keen eye on potential exploration and talent development. She is a commerce graduate from Symbiosis University who later pursued MBA from the University of Pune. She works with the vision of developing participants to be more employable through knowledge enhancement management and many other workshops. Her clientele includes a list of 15 plus MNCs, 40 plus business schools, and many more management, commerce, and engineering institutes, to add a few. She is a management trainer at the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, ICAI, having worked at numerous branches like Thane, Dombivli, Kalyan, Pune, Pimpri Chinchwad, Nanded, Latur, many more. Currently, her most popular workshop is on multiple intelligences with a reach of 5,000 plus participants at once. It is based on her in-depth research at MIRA, Multiple Intelligence Research Academy. She has taken outdoor trainings to a different level by conducting management trainings on 3 national heritage sites known for her creativity and innovative nature. She has also been invited as a guest speaker for Women Self-Help Group Projects, an initiative by Government of India, Maharashtra Knowledge Corporation Limited, MKCL. She has been appreciated on Radio 98.3 FM by RJ Rahul as a trendsetter and unique woman entrepreneur on International Women's Day 2011. It's a fond memory which we can recall on. On special work and social development front, her contribution and association has been with more than 1,500 children across 25 NGOs and appreciated in Sakal newspaper as well. She has passionately executed Swachh Bharat Abhiyan with 100 plus street plays and flash mobs at prominent public places. Her contribution in beautifying platform number 6 of Pune railway station, various bus stands and schools through wall graffiti too was appreciated by media, citizens and Central Railways of India. Her student-centric articles have been published in popular annuals like Shalan Diwali and benefited many different students. This is just a little bit of introduction of ma'am. There is many more. I can't tell you everything, but to start with, ma'am, I hand over the session to you. Let's enlighten the students. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Anupam sir, for this beautiful introduction. And I think more than the introduction that you have given, I'm going to be the friends of all the people who are participating today. Okay. So a very good morning to all of you. Okay. And before we start, I would be conducting a few polls and stuff in between so that we know how much are we in sync with the topic of the day. Also, I believe I had sent across 2 sheets to you. If you have a printout ready, just keep it handy. You'll have fun solving it along with me. Okay, and then there is this other sheet. This is going to give you an introspective look into who you are. Okay, so we're going to have a combination of you participating through the sheets, through the PPT, and the discussion that we're going to have today. Okay, so before much I would start off by a quick screen share. All right. And so like sir said, I'm working as a multiple intelligence consultant and a management mentor at MIRA, that is Multiple Intelligence Research Academy. And today we are going to explore on a lot of topics which have been bothering us since ages, but we have not really paid attention to it in a very in-depth way. Okay, so one of the typical things that happens when we are at school is that there is a lot of comparison between the people who are academically strong and the people who are not academically strong. Also, there is a lot of comparison that happens between neighbors, siblings, and cousins, and basically peers of your own age. So, for example, when the summer vacations start and we don't have schools, parents start looking out for options to keep their wards busy. So what do? They first check out, first of all, what is Sharmaji's son doing? Okay, that's like a typical Indian trait that we unfortunately have. So if that person is going for swimming, okay, my kid will also go for swimming. So some people have this kind of a trait. Some people have a trait to see what is available around my house. So if there is a swimming pool that is available, my child will go for a swimming class. If there is a music class available around my house, I'll send my child to a music class. And that is how we grow up, without knowing what are we born for, what are our hidden talents, and what is the potential that our own brain has. Okay, so today we are going to shift the focus from our surroundings and what people are doing to what we are good at and how will we take that intelligence ahead to make ourselves a very prominent person. Okay, so since this has helped me tremendously, I'm sure it will help you as well. Okay, so the next thing that I would like to do is the poll time. Okay, so I will be putting across a few polls to you. Okay, and we will go ahead with that. Okay, so the first poll goes like this. Wow, we are getting pretty good responses, and I'm so happy that there is not a single person here with a no. So for sure, I'm interacting with a gang of very intelligent people out here. That's nice. All right. So from the poll that we have, I presume that we have around 70% people over here who are intelligent for sure. Okay. And we have 30% people who do not know yet. So by the end of this workshop, the intelligent people will be knowing how to take their intellect ahead. And the people who do not know yet will know for sure that they are intelligent and how do they take their intellect ahead. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the second poll. Now, this question usually arises in our mind, especially when we are making career decisions and stuff. Okay. So the second question is, are all the students who are distinction holders or academically very strong, are they always successful in their life and careers? Okay. Yes, I have started the poll. Put in your reply. Okay, so we have 100% result that says no. It's a very straight out thing out here. Okay, all right. I think I'll do one thing. I'll put the same question in slightly different language. Okay, so with 100%, we have seen that 100% of you feel that that is not the only thing. Let us see on the next poll. I move on to the third poll. Are all the students who are school dropouts, academically not very strong, the 80-80 category kind of people, are they always unsuccessful in their life and careers? No again, and a big fat no. It's a no of 100%. Okay, all right. So this makes me go to the next question that we have, and the next and the last question that I have for you is very, very important. Are you aware that there are wonderful intelligence in you? And if I elaborate further, there are 8 different kinds of intelligence out there in your magic box called brain. Hey, wow, we have a very wonderful poll over here. 25 people are saying yes, they are aware. 25% people are not aware about this, and 44% are like, really? Ye kab hua? Nice. All right. There are lots and lots of people who are not really aware. Wow. And 55% are on really. Wow, this is interesting. Okay. All right. So with this poll, I think we will go back to our, presentation. And before we move there, I would like to tell you that no matter what the world thinks about you, okay, there would be a lot of critics in your life who will be saying, you are a duffer, you are a loser, you cannot do anything in life. But in spite of any background, any educational background, any intellectual background, you can be very, very sure that you have at least 2 or 3 intelligence in you, where you are not just good but you are excellent. Okay, and no matter, even if you feel that you're like a direct relative of Rajnikant and you're like a super great person, still you'll be dumb in 1 or 2 intelligence. Okay, but the smart thing to do is to know what are the intelligence which are your core competence. And do you have to increase or enhance the weak intelligence, or is it okay? And focus on the core. Okay. Once you are aware about your own potential, for you to take life decisions as well as decisions related to your career can be very, very, enhanced, equipped, and firm. Okay. With this, I'll go back to the screen share that I have for you guys. So after the old time, we now move on to the next thing, that is the brain, left brain and right brain. Okay, now the people who have a very strong left brain are the people who are excellent in planning. They know a lot about management, their logic is very strong, their languages are very strong, and overall they are very, very strong independent people. Okay, if you have a very strong right brain, then you tend to be very, very creative, extremely active as a person. You will not find yourself on the lazy front. Okay, the musical intelligence lies on the right brain. The creativity, innovation, out of box thinking, all these things are a part of the right brain. To elaborate on things further, this is how things have been placed. Okay, so for example, the left brain will be thinking about naturalistic intelligence. Okay, logical intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, linguistic, and fine kinesthetic. Now let us deal with this one by one. Okay, I think I would like to start with intrapersonal intelligence and interpersonal intelligence. Okay, to tell you very simply about it, the people who have intrapersonal intelligence are the people who have very good and strong motive communication. So if they want a particular job done, they know how to go about it. Their rational thinking is very, very strong, and they can interpret management stuff in a very detailed way. Okay, now intrapersonal intelligence is one of the very rare intelligence that most of the people have. Around 5 to 10% of any population is gifted with a high intrapersonal intelligence. Okay, and hence you will see the people who are leaders or the people in the top management, you will not come across that strong personalities in the overall corporate. Okay, so in one of the surveys that was done recently, we found out that around 500 CEOs, CFOs, C-suite designation people and entrepreneurs were interviewed. And in this interview, they found out that almost around 95% people are very strong on intrapersonal. Okay, they are very strong decision makers and management thinkers. Okay, on the other hand, the people who have very high interpersonal intelligence, they are the people who drive things with respect to being people-centric, having leadership roles, having empathy towards people, and all their decisions are people-centric in nature. Okay. Now, having said that, I would like to tell you about one of the difference, okay, between an intra and inter person. Okay, let us say that I am a person who is very, very high on intra. I'll tell you how my thinking will be, and if I'm high on inter, how will my thinking be? Okay, so very recently in one of the companies where we were conducting recruitment drives, the management wanted very strong decision makers. So they told me very specifically that Padmini, even though we are picking up these people as zonal managers for India branch, but we will be putting them very soon into the Pan India designation. So we really want them to be very high on their management skills and very high on decision making skills. Naturally, this says that they want people who have a very high intrapersonal intelligence. So we were like, okay, let us have a quick multiple intelligence test for them. And from the results, we will come to know who are the people who have a very high intra. And along with that, we will also find it out in the interviews. So when I went into the interview cabin, there was another very senior panelist along with me. He must have easily interviewed around 2 lakh people in his entire career. Okay, hardcore recruitment person. So this guy said, ma'am, you shouldn't have really, gone into the MI test and all these long processes. One question, and it is very evident whether the person is intra or inter. I said, sir, I don't think, this is something that can be seen. He said, I'll show you. So he said, interviews will happen for sure. It is a process. We have to interview around 100 people. We have to select 8 out of them. However, we will have a small activity between us. Okay. So every time I feel that this person is very high on intra, I'll give you this kind of a symbol under the desk. If this person happens to be very high on inter, this is the kind of a symbol that I'll give. And if I feel that this person is very, very balanced, intra and inter is very, very good, I'll be doing this as a symbol. Now you have all the reports and the data with you. You cross-check and tell me how right or wrong I am. I was like, this sounds like an interesting activity for sure. Interviews could not have been, more interesting. So I said, let's go ahead with it. Now, there was just one question that this gentleman was asking almost every single candidate. And the question was, we were recruiting in the finance domain. Okay, most of them were either MBA finance or they were chartered accountants. So one of the questions that he would ask them was, first of all, you tell me, why did you choose to become a chartered accountant? Okay, now around 70-80% of the people would give us a reply which was people centric. Okay, so the reply that we typically got on this question, why did you choose this career? The answer would be, sir, it was my mother's dream that I become a CA. Hence, I became a CA. The other response would be, sir, I come from a very small village. There's not a single chartered accountant in my village. So I thought if I become a CA, it will be very helpful for my village folk, and that inspired me to be a CA. The third response would be, everybody in my family is a chartered accountant and we have our own firm. Hence, I became a CA so that I can join my family firm. Now, all these 3 responses, if you see, are extremely people-centric. The question in an interviewer's mind would be, dude, what do you want? Aapko kya chahiye? So, it is all people-centric decisions. Now, on the other hand, if the candidate is very high on intrapersonal intelligence, that person is very, very aware about his or her needs. His decisions, her decisions are very, very rational. Okay, so when I ask an intra-high person, why did you choose to be a CA? The answer would be very, very rational, So the person would usually tell us that, ma'am, since my 10th standard, I was very aware that my maths is very, very good and finance was something that was very attractive as an option. Hence, I chose commerce as a stream and not science and arts. When I came into commerce as a stream, I realized that chartered accountancy, MBA finance would be very, very, challenging things for me. At that point in time, I realized that as a chartered accountant, I'll be able to explore the accountancy and taxation related stuff in depth, which is something that I found very interesting, and hence I chose this career. Do you understand the difference? An inter-high person will be having people-centric decisions. Intra-high person will be having self-centric decisions. Okay, and hence, if you look at intrapersonal intelligence and interpersonal intelligence, I always say these are the intelligence that can make or break a person. Inter-high person will always use some other person's ambitions, visions, and brain to go ahead in life. So if my mother wants me to be a CA, I'll become a CA. If my mother wants me to be an engineer, for her, I'll become an engineer. I'll not have too many opinions of my own, and I'll be happy doing that. Okay. Whereas intra-high person, especially in the later parts of their life, will not have many regrets because they have taken the decision by themselves for themselves. Inter-high people can have a lot of regrets because either the person for whom they have taken the decision is no more in their life, or perhaps the person for whom they have taken a decision has changed as a person. Okay, so in that case, it is very good to have a high intrapersonal intelligence. Now, how do you increase this intelligence? Well, you can try and start being independent in small things. Instead of asking everyone and doing things, you sit down and think, what is best for me? Okay, what do I want? And if that is the case, you will actually succeed much better in life if you give importance to your intrapersonal intelligence. Okay, now in this sheet that I have given you, okay, I would like you to put a tick on the places which you think you are good in. Okay, so if you think that your intrapersonal is strong, you can put a tick there. If you feel your intrapersonal is average, you can put a tick there. If you feel interpersonal is high, you can put a tick there. Okay, so for every intelligence, I want you to check out where do you lie. Okay, also having said that, intra and inter constitute a large part of your EQ. Okay, EQ is your emotional quotient. So people who have a very high intrapersonal or interpersonal or both intelligences, they will tend to have emotional decisions. If intra is high, it will be an egoistic decision. If interpersonal is high, it will be a people-centric decision. Okay, all right. Now, having said that, let's move on to the screen that we were sharing some time back. We just discussed about interpersonal and intrapersonal, which is the primary intelligence that we have. Let us now move on to logic. Okay, and before we move on to the logical intelligence, just check out the sheet that I have given you. There is a box, okay, which has got 9 smaller blocks, okay, and it also has some numbers scattered around. Okay, now this box is known as Sudoku box. Okay, and this activity enhances your logical intelligence to a very great extent. Okay, so even though the activity sounds very simple, it is not that easy. Okay, after the end of this lecture, I want you to invest some time with those boxes. Okay, and I'll tell you how do you solve Sudoku. The concept is very simple. In every vertical column, in every horizontal row, and in every of those singular boxes, okay, you have to put the numbers 1 to 9 such that you don't repeat it at all. Okay, so what happens is you actually end up having a 3-dimensional perspective before you put any number. Okay, so as you can see, the first number in the first column, first row is 7. Okay, now if I want to put any number in that square, I have to first check the entire row, I have to check the entire column, I have to check that individual box of 9 mini boxes, and then I have to put the number. Okay, in case you are not good in Sudoku solving, I'll definitely recommend just go on YouTube and just type of how to solve Sudoku. You will get 3 to 4 minute videos which will tell you how to go about it. Okay. And once you do that, it becomes very, very interesting. It is a challenge that, okay, now I'm going to put all the numbers across in this box and I'm going to find out whether I can do it. Okay. Such activities increase the logic to a very great extent. Okay. All right. Now, having said that, people who have a very high logical intelligence are the people who succeed a lot in life. Okay. Because if the logic is strong, what happens is they are naturally their thinking and analysis about many things becomes enhanced. Okay, so I'll give you an example here. Let us say my linguistic intelligence is very high. Okay, linguistic intelligence is related to your talking skills, language. Okay, so my linguistic intelligence is very high and my logic is low. What will unfortunately happen is I'll talk a lot, but illogically. Okay. Let us say my intra is very high. Okay. Intrapersonal intelligence is very high. Logic is low. I'll be very, very egoistic and I'll not accept any mistakes. Okay. If my interpersonal intelligence is high and logic is low, I'll always believe and do things for a lot of people without using my own brain. Okay, so having low logic can create a lot of issues. Okay, on the other hand, let us say your logic is very high and some other intelligence is low. Let us say my linguistic intelligence is low. I logically think that, okay, I think my English speaking is not good. My presentation skills are not good. What can I do about it? I think I have 3 options. One, I can, enroll myself into a class, spoken English class or presentation skills class, Toastmasters club. I need to enroll somewhere, or I need to have the company of people who speak a lot of English fluently so that in their company my English speaking skills will increase. Or 3, I need to start watching some web series or YouTube videos which will enhance my English speaking and presentation skills. Okay, so logically I will think on how to increase the linguistic intelligence and I'll bring it up. Okay, hence I said that having an average or strong logic is very, very important. So whenever you can invest your time into logical puzzles, logical activities like Sudoku, definitely indulge into that. Okay, because that will eventually increase all your other intelligences. Okay, now we will speak about spatial intelligence. Okay, spatial intelligence is nothing but your power to imagine things. Okay, now for some people, let us say I take you to an empty room, okay, which has only white walls, a white ceiling and a white floor, and there is nothing in it. Okay, now if your spatial intelligence is very high and if I tell you that I want to convert this room for a play area for children, can you do that? Okay, you'll have 10 different ideas that you will be able to see as if it is a HD screen in front of you and in a 3D way. So you will start telling me that Padmini, why don't we have a small waterfall over there? Then we will have a jungle theme. Okay, we'll change the flooring, we'll make it green in color, we'll make the ceiling blue in color, so that the children will have an actual feel that they are in a jungle kind of an environment. And on this wall we'll have some animals drawn so that they can identify the animals, and it will enhance the jungle theme. And if my spatial intelligence is low, I'll be like, what? Which wall? Who? Where? Waterfall? I won't be able to imagine all those things. So I'll tell you, why don't you draw it or, design it and show me? So once I see it, I'll be able to understand what you're saying. So this is the power that high spatial intelligence people have. they can imagine a lot of things. Now, if a person has a high spatial intelligence, it will show in his or her work very beautifully. These people will always think out of the box. They will be very, very solutions oriented, and innovation will be a part of their personality. Okay, again, having said this about spatial intelligence, on an international level, it is a belief that this intelligence is also quite rare, not very rare, but quite rare. Only 20% of any population is gifted with a very good amount of spatial intelligence. However, Indians are very different on this count. Okay, Indians have one extra spoonful of spatial intelligence gifted to them at birth itself. Okay, and why not? We always say that jugaad is in our blood. What is jugaad? Jugaad is nothing but amazing resource management. It is frugal innovation. And for these kind of things, for innovativeness, for your out of box thinking, you certainly need spatial intelligence. Okay, there was one person who had researched purely on spatial intelligence around the globe. Okay, to understand the pattern that people have, and that person has had a very beautiful observation that I would like to share with you. This person had quoted that even a child born on the footpaths of India will be having better spatial intelligence than his counterparts the world over. Okay, and then the person had observed that internationally, when a baby is born, if it is a boy, that child is exposed to shades of blue. If it is a girl, she is exposed to shades of pink, and overall the color palette that people have are pastel shades, simple colors, very few colors. Okay, whereas if you look at the Indian palette of colors, it is extremely vibrant. So even if a child is born, we don't think whether it is a boy or a girl, but we expose it to orange and purples and yellows and greens. Blue and pink are one of the shades in that entire palette. Okay, now if you expose a person to more colors, to more creativity, naturally that person's spatial intelligence will increase and enhance. Okay, now having said that, spatial intelligence is also very, very I would say sensitive. Okay, now imagine there is a child, okay, a 5-year-old child whose spatial intelligence is very, very high. Okay, and that child is drawing something on the wall and is completely focused into that, is enjoying that, wall painting. And I go and I suddenly hit on the hand and I say, hey, you idiot, what are you doing? You have spoiled my wall worth 5,000 rupees with your 25 paise crayons. It's not done. You are an idiot. Okay. Now, what synapses the brain will have is, do not use this intelligence. You will get beaten or physically hurt. So that child the spatial intelligence will get restricted or frozen at that level. And then that child will have very, very cliched, typical style of thinking and, imagination. So once the child goes into the drawing class, and if the drawing teacher says, draw a scenery, the child will typically draw 2 mountains, 1 sunrise, 1 small river, 2-3 huts, and 2-3 trees, and that's all about it. Okay, if I would not have hit this child, if I would have said, hey, what are you drawing? Seems to be very interesting, the child would have explained what he or she is drawing, and the spatial intelligence would have increased, because the synapses in the brain would have been, when you use this intelligence, people appreciate. Okay, so in order to get appreciation from people, the child will definitely use more and more of spatial intelligence. And when the child is in a drawing class, when the drawing teacher says draw a scenery, that child would probably draw a view from the waterfall top. Okay, so on one side you can see a waterfall, and beneath the waterfall on one side you will see a small village. On the other side, you will see fields and farms and animals. So, that angle of looking at things and imagination will be very different from what you and me have. Okay. Having said that, one of the genius patterns on spatial intelligence was none other than Walt Disney. Okay, and the biggest problem that genius people have is that in their initial days, they are not able to express themselves. Okay, and it's not just about spatial, about all the intelligences, they happen to be dumb as kids and then they grew and bloom beyond the others. So understanding that pattern becomes very, very difficult. In fact, at Mira, it is a responsibility that all of us have, that if we identify a genius pattern, we have to ensure that the pattern blooms and the personality develops to the best possible way in the quickest time. Okay. So, for example, in case of Walt Disney, when this person started drawing mouse cartoons, there was a huge opposition and ridicule. So a lot of people came and said, "Hey, what are you doing? This is not done. Who draws mouse cartoons? It is so dirty and ugly. You want to draw cartoons, right? Draw human cartoons, draw human caricatures, not animals. It is disgusting. It is bad." Okay. And this was the outlook of almost 97% of the population who does not have a genius pattern. Now, genius pattern is hardly, max 3% in any population. So for them to tell about their ideas to this 97% and convince them is not that easy, okay? But Walt Disney persisted with his idea. He continued to draw mouse cartoons, and this 97% of the population slowly grew into it. So the first reaction was, yuck, it is horrible, mouse cartoon, yuck, okay? And then, but it's cute. Hey, this is so expressive. Hey, this is nice. And then once the idea is accepted, it just goes to a very different level. And Disney World is something that I think almost every person can connect with, okay? So this is about the genius pattern. Now I would like you to check yourself. Where do you stand as far as your logical intelligence is concerned and your spatial intelligence is concerned? Because these two intelligences together form your thinking loop, okay? Intrapersonal and interpersonal happen to be your action lobes. What kind of decisions will you take? Whereas spatial and logical tell what kind of a thinking pattern will you have. Is it going to be very, very analytical? Is it going to be very, very creative? Or is it going to be a combination of both? Okay. All right. At this point, I would like to know if you have any questions about inter, spatial and logical intelligence. You can definitely put it into your chat box. Okay. I'll have a look at it and I'll definitely reply to that. Okay. Now we'll go to your sheet. Okay. Can you see those circles at the top? Okay. I think there are like around 7 circles are there. Okay. In case you have not printed out the sheet, quickly take a minute and draw 7 circles. Okay. Like this. I hope it's very, very clear. Yes. Okay. I'm giving you exactly 1 minute, okay? And when I say start, you have to start drawing something in those circles that you can think of, imagine in a circular shape and put it across, okay? For example, in one of the activities that we had, I had given them squares, okay? 7 squares, and people started filling those squares by drawing pictures of square things. So for example, the first picture was that of a gift packed box. The second picture was that of a window. The third picture was that of a book. So on and so forth. Anything that is square. Okay. Now, if we have a person who has a very high spatial, that person will imagine a lot of things with these circles. Okay. And put it across. Okay. So I'm giving you exactly 1 minute. When I say start drawing whatever you imagine. So if you think of a clock, you can put a clock over here. Okay. A sun, anything that is round and you can think of and you can put it across. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, start. All right. And we stop. Okay. Just stop the activity right there. Now, the people who have filled up all the 7 circles, okay, with perhaps a clock, a sun, a flower, maybe a face, a smiley face, an emoticon, whatever you have drawn out there. If you have filled up all the 7 circles, then your spatial intelligence is very, very strong, okay. The people who have around 4 to 5 circles which have been filled, it is average, okay. And if you have only 1 or 2 circles, because you had to think about ki, circle, what exactly is a circle, clock, no, maybe, if it is not coming very quickly, then the spatial intelligence happens to be less, okay. Now, having said that, I would like to show you a case of spatial intelligence which happens to be in a genius pattern, okay. So when I had given this activity to this class of almost 80 people, and I said, fill up the circles, and I want you to fill up maximum number of circles in a very creative way, okay. So a person who had a genius pattern on the spatial intelligence came up with this. Are all the circles used? Yes. And in least time. So this person literally finished this in maybe 10 seconds and had a big smile and was like looking around. So when I asked this person that, how did you think about this? So he said that normally everybody will be thinking about very obvious things like, a round clock, a round sun. And I just thought, what does it take to make, this kind of a formation? A caterpillar will be having these circles, okay? And hence I drew this. And this is the difference between a very strong spatial and a genius pattern. They think very differently. Now imagine this person with whatever career he or she has, whether that person is a bank manager or that person is a scientist, that person will always think so differently than others. Are you getting where I'm trying to reach? Okay. And it's amazing interacting with people who have a genius pattern in spatial. And like I said, this is one of the predominant intelligence that most of the Indians have. Okay, so it is not very rare to find an Indian who has a genius pattern in intelligence. Okay, now having said this, I'll just quickly reply to 2 queries that have come from Disha and Nidhi. Okay, so Disha has asked me, ma'am, how will the balanced person reply for the situation you have mentioned? Okay, so let's say in the interview, I come across a person who's high on intra and inter both. The reply would be, ma'am, it was my mother's dream that I become a chartered accountant. And I realized that even my talents and my liking is more towards commerce and taxation and auditing. Hence, I chose to be this career. It is balanced. Okay. Diksha, I hope this satisfies your query. Okay. Also, if you are mentioning about logical and spatial, okay, I'll tell you a case where we were dealing with a person who is a genius in logic and a person who is a genius in spatial and a third person who's balanced in both. Okay, so what we did is we put across a chessboard in front of them and we said, we want you to play chess. Okay, and after you are done with playing, I want you to tell me how were you thinking about winning this chess game. So the person who had very high logic would always think from, okay, 64 squares, mine is black. If I do this step, the camel goes like this, the elephant goes like this. They have that kind of thinking pattern about the rook, about the knight, everything. Whereas the person who's high on spatial will be thinking about different moves. Okay, so that person will be thinking, if I put my paw over here, okay, maybe this person will use the knight or will use the rook. If that person uses the rook, this is my next step. So 3 to 4 steps ahead, that person will imagine already and then play. Okay, logic high person will think, okay, this particular thing has got this function, this has this function, and then that person will play. And it was amazing to see both of them play. either the logic high person would win or the spatial high person would win. And they would explain it later on to the consultant that, this is the kind of a thought process I had. Later on, we found a person who was balanced in both. Okay, and that person would really use this to the combination to the fullest. Okay, so that person would logically think that my opponent is a very, very dynamic person and I should make use of that. Okay, that person is very hasty, or that person is very, very recluse and reserved and will play like this. So logically, that person would analyze the person in front of him or the opponent. Then that person would think, okay, this is how the sets have to be used, and then would imagine the steps as well. Okay, so this is how balanced people work. Now I'll move on to Nidhi's question: how can we enhance our spatial intelligence? Okay, so in order to enhance your spatial intelligence, I would definitely say, whenever we are having the next social event of painting some school or a public place, you can definitely join. Okay, because what happens is, when you are into coloring, drawing pictures and stuff, your spatial definitely gets enhanced, because you start thinking that this is a blank wall, what should I fill it up with? Okay, so that increases your spatial intelligence. Creative hacks videos will show you that, instead of the typical way, you can even do things in this way. So that kind of innovative streak will come to you. If you're thinking about applying spatial intelligence in management field, just read more about innovators and intrapreneurs, or even entrepreneurs. Okay, that this person was working in this company, but how did that person do things differently? Okay, I'll give you one example of spatial intelligence in the corporate. Okay, now there was this person who had a very small coffee shop in the bylanes of Italy. Okay, and the coffee that he used to make in his machine, which was a self-designed machine, was way better than most of the bigger brands available out there. Yet his shop was in the bylanes of Italy. Okay, and he could not have investors. Now, if I have loads of money and if I want to have a coffee shop, I'll just think, should I invest in Starbucks, or will Barista be better, or Cafe Coffee Day? I'll think about big brands. Okay, I'll not think about something, Georgia something, I don't even know the name. Okay, there won't be any confidence in investing huge amount of money. So he was not getting investors. And after saving a lot of money, after 5 years, he set up his second shop, which again was in the bylanes of Italy. Okay, and this guy realized that at this speed, I'll reach my grave faster, and I'll not even have 10 franchisees in my entire life. This is so depressing. Okay, and then he said, wait a minute, I have a strategy. I'll think very differently and I'll do things very differently. The next day morning, he went to McDonald's head office, took an appointment to meet the top management. He used 2 passwords. First, he said, I'm a very loyal customer, and 2, I have come here to appreciate the management. Now, these 2 passwords can certainly get you a quick appointment. So in this particular meeting, which was for 15 minutes, okay, 15 minutes, the first thing that he told the management, okay, now imagine there are C-suite designation people out there, there are CFOs, CEOs, directors and stuff. And this person presents out to them by saying, I love McDonald's as a brand. And you know what is the thing that I love the most? You guys have left a mark on a person from any nationality, whether the person is an Asian or a European, an Australian, an American, they can connect very well to your brand. The minute you see the M sign on the highway, you know that the next part of the journey is going to be really, really good. So I love the brand McDonald's because you connect with all nationalities and it has been such a strong brand. So these people, they had an ego boost. They were like, yes, that's us. Wow. So they were like all ears to what this person is saying. The next thing that he said is, however, with all due respect, there's something missing on your menu card. So they were like, really, really? Okay, you tell us what is missing on our menu card. This person said, sir, think about it. What if you include coffee on your menu card? Right now, the world has two different business models. The first business model is burger shops who are selling sodas. They are your competitors and you yourself. The second business is coffee shops who are selling sandwiches. Burgers and soda is one business. Coffee and sandwich is the other business. If you include coffee onto your menu card, your competitors and market will be both these dimensions. And think about it, you will earn profit through the sale of coffee, and the number of burgers that will be sold will also be more because you have a lot of young footfall in your place. So think about it. And these people are like, you are damn right. Why didn't we think about it? Coffee on our menu card is excellent idea. We are going to implement this within a week before the competitors know about it. Now, having said this, one of the CSU designation person said, so should we choose Starbucks or what brand should we go with? Immediately this person said, sir, if you go with an established brand, there would be a brand clash. There would be a lot of discussion whether the new name should be Starbucks McDonald's or McDonald's Starbucks. Ronald should be having a new look or not. But if you choose to partner up with me in this regard, I have a very humble coffee shops that serves the best coffee in the world. And you are welcome any time of the day to have a sip of the coffee, check my taste of the coffee, and then partner up with me. Now, within 1 week, there was a MOU that was signed between McDonald's Inc. and Georgia Coffee. Okay. And after those two signatures were put up, okay, the MOU read that all the tier 4 to tier 14 of McDonald's franchisees will be having the presence of Georgia Coffee. The minute they said that, see, since we are an established brand, we are not going to mention on the cup that this is Georgia Coffee. It will be known as McCafe. Yeah, that is okay. We will be having 70% profits, 30% will be yours. Yes, okay, that is also okay. All the terms and conditions were done and two signatures were put across on that one paper of MOU. And do you understand the repercussions of this MOU? A day before this document was created, this person had presence with 2 shops in one country. 2 signatures later, this person has presence in 93 countries with 1200 plus units or franchisees. Now, is this or is this not a beautiful demonstration of spatial intelligence in the corporate domain? Okay. Nidhi, I hope this satisfies your query. Hey, Rakesh has said that ball, face, bomb. Oh, wow. Clock, cycle, spoke, sun, ice cream cone. Wow. Nice. Okay. Good job. Okay. So I think we have cleared all the queries. Let us move on to the next set of your intelligences and then you check out whether you have it or not. So now we move on to the point of, I think I would like to speak about the next intelligence, that would be naturalistic intelligence. Okay, naturalistic intelligence is not just to do with love for nature, pets, animals, forests, environment, but it is also to do with deep rooted observation skills. Okay, again, this intelligence is very, very rare. If a person has a genius pattern in naturalistic intelligence and intrapersonal intelligence, then that person can be very, very spiritually inclined. For example, Swami Vivekananda, he knew who he is and he knew what being an Indian means, and he could be the ambassador of India. Okay, so whenever he would speak philosophically, people could relate to that because of the genius pattern in intra and a very, very strong naturalistic intelligence. Okay, the people who have very low naturalistic intelligence, and you know what, I think this category is very big. Around 90% of the population does not have a very strong naturalistic, and I think you and me will fall into this category. think about the friend of yours, okay, just after an exam is over, that person comes and says, hey, the paper was so easy. And you say, yes, the paper was easy, but I think question number 6 was a little difficult, right? What? There was question number 6. Where? On the last page. Oh man, I did not even see the last page. Obviously, because the observation skills are very, very low. So these people will not tend to observe a lot of things, and there will be silly mistakes just because of an oversight. Okay. So that was about naturalistic intelligence. The next is kinesthetic intelligence. Now, kinesthetic intelligence or bodily intelligence is about how strong or weak is your reactions with the different body parts. Okay. So then we were moving on into kinesthetic intelligence. Okay. Now, kinesthetic intelligence, like I said, is nothing but your bodily intelligence. And I would rather give you examples so that you understand the concept very well. Okay. Now, imagine there is a gang of friends. Okay. And a long weekend is coming by. And a usual thing that one of the friends in that gang would say is that, hey, you know what? A long weekend is coming. Let us all go to Mauritius. And it is raining. So it is going to be a lovely trek. So what we are going to do is we are going to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning. Okay. 5 a.m. we will be reaching the railway station. We'll be getting down at this particular station. From there, it is just a 4-hour long trek uphill. We'll go up there, we'll have breakfast, we'll have some time together over there. Then we'll start climbing down from the other side. Then we'll come back to this village. We'll have a lunch there. Then we'll come back to the railway station, and then we'll come back home the same day. What do you think, guys? It's going to be a great trek. These words will definitely come from somebody who's very high on kinesthetic intelligence and is very, very outgoing with the body movements. Okay. Now, in the same group, there might be another friend who says, you know what, your idea is excellent, but there's a lovely movie on Netflix. Why don't we just sit and watch the movie? Low kinesthetic intelligence person for sure, who likes to sit in one place and do things. Okay. So if you think about it, it's not about good or bad. Okay. It is about how you use that intelligence. So if you are a person who is having low kinesthetic intelligence, a desk job, a research oriented job is excellent for you because you'll be able to focus and be there. Okay. But if you're a high kinesthetic person, then moving around, globe trotting, traveling a lot is definitely going to be your domain. Okay. Very recently, Google had conducted a survey, and they believed that we have the job which is desk oriented job. So naturally, most of the employees will be having a low kinesthetic intelligence. Okay. And to their surprise, 70 plus and more employees had either a strong or a genius pattern in kinesthetic intelligence. Okay. So when they came to know about this, they redesigned their office so that it becomes a more productive place. 1, they introduced bean bags. 2, they introduced physio balls on which you can sit and bounce while you are thinking about different projects. They even had meeting rooms which had a circular table, and instead of the normal chairs, you have a place where you can sit and you can pedal while you are interacting with different people. So your kinesthetic energy and intelligence gets channelized in a very good way, and it becomes better for people to take things ahead. Okay. Now, having said this, people who have very high kinesthetic intelligence happen to be kinesthetic learners. Okay. And unfortunately, they are very, very misunderstood. Okay. So for example, I'm a teacher and I can see that one of the child in my class is, moving a lot. Okay. I might think, hey, you bugger, you better pay attention. Why are you moving around so much? Why are you not in one place? The thing is that it's not that he or she is not paying attention. The thing is that they are kinesthetic learners, and if the body movement happens, the synapses in the brain becomes faster. Okay. Now I would like you to relate this to your actual classrooms. Okay. You might be having one or two friends. When the lecture is on, the foot goes tap, 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 tap. You put a hand on that and say, don't move. The other foot will start tap, 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 tap. Or they'll be, doing this kind of an action with the pen. Some kind of a movement is going on. It is not that they are not paying attention, but if they stop doing that, activity, the brain will not work to the extent that it should. So if I tell a kinesthetic intelligence, hi child, hey you, fold your hands, finger on your lips, the brain just gets frozen. That person cannot think, cannot absorb things. Okay. Instead of that, if I tell this person, why don't you keep tapping a ball while I'm telling you a new concept, that person will absorb very fast. Okay. A few activities that we tell students who are very high on kinesthetic intelligence is that why don't you keep a stress ball? Okay. So when the lecture is on, you can, just do this movement with the stress ball and the synapses will happen faster. Now, when you have a 3-hour long written exam, okay, naturally stress ball and all these things are not going to help you. So what you can do is go for a quick 15-20 minute jog. Okay, burn out a few calories so that then when you have to sit for 3 hours, you will not be, I think I'll just go take a pee break. I'll just quickly go, I'll take a water break. I'll just quickly go and move and, move my limbs around. You will not need a lot of breaks. Okay, so if you are a kinesthetic high person, watch out for these tips. Okay, it will help you learn faster. One of the genius pattern persons we had on kinesthetic intelligence, that person was almost 32 years old when we met this person, and he said, ma'am, all these years I used to think that all these things that I'm doing are crazy, but now it makes sense to me because my mother used to say, okay, read loudly. It would not help. If somebody asks me to read out loudly or otherwise, it would not sink in my head. But I used to have this thing that when I'm traveling, okay, or when I'm sitting on a swing, I used to understand the concepts very fast. So I said, yes, definitely. Whenever there is a body movement, your synapses will happen faster. Okay. All right. So that is about your kinesthetic and naturalistic intelligence. Together they form your AQ. I'm pretty sure this might be a concept that you probably have heard for the first time. Okay. Can somebody put across in the chat box and tell me what AQ could be? IQ, we all know, is intelligence quotient. EQ, we all are aware, it is emotional quotient. CQ happens to be creativity quotient. Now, what would AQ be? And does it affect us in our management careers? Try and put across in the chat what you think would the A in the AQ stand for. What kind of a quotient is this? And if you have any questions related to kinesthetic or naturalistic intelligence, you can put that also in the chat box before we move ahead with, I think only musical and linguistic is left. Correct? Yes. Action quotient. Okay. Action quotient to some extent. Okay. All right, Rakesh. I think action is a part of this. A stands for adversity. Okay. It is also known as adversity quotient. Okay. Hey, the artificial quotient. No, we are not yet dealing with artificial intelligence in this seminar, but that was a very quick reply and awesome one. Okay. Yes, Diksha, you're absolutely right. It is adversity quotient. Okay. Now, what does this mean? Adversity quotient means your painstaking ability or your ability to rebound in life. Okay. Now, a few cases that I have handled are unfortunately low on adversity quotient. They cannot take rejections. They cannot take no. If something is not as per their calculation, they become very, very shattered. Okay. I'll give you an example in here. Okay. Let us say there's a pair of twins. Okay, they are 10 years old. Okay, and very unfortunately they lose their father. Okay, now if I talk sympathetically to one of the child, okay, if I say, uncle passed away, it was very very unfortunate, the god has been very very harsh with your family, I have no idea what will happen to your family now, it is so sad. If I say such kind of things, that child will feel very, very relaxed, happy, and will connect with me. That yes, Padmini, you're right. I don't know what will happen now. I'm so devastated. And at this point in time, if I give this child any kind of addiction, good or bad, the child will quickly grab onto it. So if I give this person something like an alcohol or a cigarette, the person will definitely cling on to it. If I tell that person, chant this particular mantra and you'll feel good, the child will actually get addicted to that because they are waiting for somebody to come and help them out. Okay. On the other hand, perhaps, and now this is a case of low AQ, they cannot take pain in their stride. On the other hand, let us say the other twin is very high on AQ, they will grow up within a day. Okay, so if I say all these sympathetic things, they'll be like, Padmini, I really don't need your sympathy. If you can help me out with a scholarship or on how I can take my family ahead, I'll definitely be interested in talking to you, but no sympathetic, empathetic stuff, please. Okay. And this person will actually man up within a day and will directly tell me, see Padmini, my father is no more, but I am alive. I'll take care of my mother and my twin and I'll take things ahead. Now, this is a person with high adversity quotient. They can take pain and they can rise from that. Okay. One more example that I would like to quote here is, let's say today is your first day at work and I am an extremely annoying boss. Okay. So as soon as you come, I start, shouting and yelling at you. What kind of clothes have you worn? You're looking like a joker. You don't have no absolute dressing sense. From tomorrow, you better dress up well. Okay. Now, if you're a person with low AQ, the next 8 hours that you are working, half of your brain will be thinking, what should I wear tomorrow so that Padmini is not upset? And half of your brain, you will be using it for the work that you have. Okay. Let us say you are a high AQ person. You'll just look at yourself and say, ma'am, this was comfortable and it is formal dressing and hence I have worn it. Ma'am, what is the work for today? Can we start with it? Okay. And you will forget this conversation that we had. And 100% of your brain will be focused on how to perform better so that you are accepted at the office. The clothing doesn't matter. So this is a case of high AQ and low AQ people. Very unfortunately, the people who have low AQ tend to run away from responsibilities. They tend to run away from situations. Okay. And I have seen this, that people who are academically very, very strong, okay, IQ is very, very high. So academically, they are very strong. They have a string of degrees with their name. Okay. So they have this degree, they have PhD, and they cannot last in a single job for more than 3 months. Because if you say, hey, don't you even know this much? They will immediately be offended and they'll be like, resignation, I don't want to work here. Okay, they'll be scared of working and people judging them or they failing. They're very, very scared of failures. Okay, so AQ is your adversity quotient. If you want to increase your adversity quotient, 1, you can exercise a lot, and 2, be connected with nature to some extent. Okay, so morning walks, yoga, that is your sun salutations, all these things enhance your AQ as well as naturalistic and kinesthetic intelligence. Okay. I don't seem to see any questions on kinesthetic nor naturalistic. I presume that you have either understood it all or it was a complete bouncer. Okay. Nonetheless, we'll move ahead very quickly with linguistic and musical intelligence, which are the last intelligence discussion points. So linguistic is a very simple intelligence and very evidently seen. The child who starts speaking very fast, can pick up different languages, can express the thoughts very well, is naturally very high on linguistic. Okay. However, you will come across a lot of people where you have to say, "Hey, what do you want to say? Just say it fast." Okay. Why are you thinking so much? Why don't you just speak out your heart? Okay. This category will typically be low on linguistic intelligence. They won't like to express their thoughts in words. Maybe they will express their thoughts with action. Okay. So if, let's say, there is a boy who is low on linguistic intelligence, probably he will not tell his spouse or girlfriend that he loves her. He will not put it into words, I love you, I love you, I love you, mushy, mushy. Maybe not. But perhaps that person will give her gifts which will help her in her career, or will be helping her in her lifestyle, or will make her feel good. So he will express it through action, or maybe through music, but definitely not through words. Okay. The last intelligence is musical intelligence. Okay. And musical intelligence is not just about music, but it is also a lot to do with your way of understanding the tone. Okay. So if there is a person who is very high on musical intelligence, and that person happens to be your manager, you will not be able to lie to this person even on the phone, because this person is not only listening to your words but is also listening to the tone in which you are talking and the background noises. So it is very difficult to lie to people who have very high musical intelligence. Okay. So I think this covers up all our discussion on different intelligence. I hope you have marked yourself somewhere on these parameters. Okay. For genius pattern, like I said, initially you will feel, I don't have this intelligence, I am dumb in this. Okay. And slightest exposure and you will go beyond strong. Okay. So if that is the case, you can definitely say that yes, you have streaks of genius pattern in that intelligence, and it has to be developed. Okay. You can put your notes and stuff in here. Okay. And I'm open to questions if you have any on any of this intelligences as individually.
Ma'am, can you
Kinesthetic intelligence. Okay, yes. Ankit wants to know a little more about kinesthetic intelligence. Okay. I think Ankit, I'll give you an example. Okay. One of my friend happens to have very low kinesthetic intelligence. Okay. So what happens is his connect between the brain and the body parts is not very strong, which means his reflexes are not very strong. Okay. On one of the occasions, this person was riding the bike and I was sitting right behind. Okay. And we saw that suddenly an animal has come on the road. So I immediately said, brakes, brakes, brakes. Okay. And by the time he put the brake on, we had already dashed and we were, literally spread out on the road. So I was very upset and I was like, "Bhai, मैं तुझे बोल रही थी brake लगा." Okay. And this person like, हाँ लगाया लेकिन वो accident होने के बाद. Okay. So typically the messages that happen between your body muscles and the brain happen to be very, very low if the kinesthetic intelligence is less. Okay. But for a person, like if in case of the F1 racers and stuff, their reflexes are very high because the synapses that happens between kinesthetic intelligence and the body is very fast. So their reflexes are very strong. Even if you want to something comes across on the face, they'll be able to catch it without even looking in that direction. The people who have very high kinesthetic intelligence happen to be very, very strong on athletics. Okay. So if that person has very amazingly strong kinesthetic intelligence, they are reflexes with batting, bowling, the racket work will be very, very high. They will not feel tired even after running for miles. They'll be like, yeah, that's okay, I can run for a few more miles. While the other people will be like, let me catch a breath, then we will go ahead, so this kind of shows about the kinesthetic intelligence. Okay. Diksha has asked a very, very quirky and a very amazing question. Ma'am, do these intelligences differ when the person is angry? Okay. All the intelligences, yes, they differ when a person is hungry or angry or is put under a lot of pressure. Okay, so at that point in time, knowing about a particular intelligence is very difficult. I'll give you an example here, Diksha. Let us say there is a woman who has a genius pattern in linguistic intelligence. Okay, now if there is a genius pattern in linguistic intelligence, obviously it will be very weak in the initial days, and slightest exposure, appreciation, or inputs in that, and it will become a genius pattern which will bloom. She can become an authoress, a poet, a world-renowned literati figure. Okay. However, let us say she belongs to a community which does not have respect for women. Okay, now what will happen is that whenever she wants to put her ideas or thoughts across, maybe the other members, the male as well as the female members of her community will be saying, hey, you shut up. You are a woman, you shut up. Okay, you should not have any opinion. You just look after the household and you don't have any say. Now what will happen is this genius pattern will get suppressed and killed. Okay. Once it gets killed, it will never blossom. But at a later point in time, let's say she comes across a friend or a spouse or a partner who understands that probably, she can express in very good thoughts and says, have you read about these poetry? I would like you to read Amrita Pritam's poetry. I'll read out these books to you. Okay. And then again, that pattern can increase. Okay. So it all depends not just about what you are born with, but also the kind of exposure that you get in life. Okay. And if it is combined by, phases of being angry or hungry, you cannot use your brain. You cannot use your brain on an empty stomach. If you are hungry, it will, affect and reflect in a very different way. I would like to share some sample cases that I have. So, for example, we had a case where there was a girl who had walked in and her logic was average. Okay, her naturalistic intelligence was weak and her interpersonal intelligence was very high. So you can understand that she cannot observe and understand the body language of people, but she wants to, be with people a lot of times. So she will always be making new friends. And because logic and observation skills are low, she'll be making always the wrong set of friends. Okay. So when she had come for consultation, I had asked her that, have you made wrong decisions about people in your life? And she said, yes. Okay. And she had been through 3 very bitter experiences in relationship. And I said, can you tell me about your last relationship? This was her response. And I was like, OMG, seriously? So what she said is, ma'am, this boy whom I fell in love with and I was committed, I knew him since ages and still he turned out to be the wrong person. So I said, how long did you know this person? She's like, ma'am, since very, very long. I knew him since 2 weeks. Now, obviously, this person has low logic and low observation. So for her, 2 weeks is a very high time and she is, planning on lifelong commitments based on these 2 weeks. Okay. So one, we had to increase her naturalistic intelligence so that observation increases. We had to increase her logic so that her analysis and repercussions and cause effect understanding increases. and inter should be kept intact so that her networking, her people skills is intact. So we had to increase her logic and observation skills, that is naturalistic intelligence, so that she doesn't make such mistakes in life. Okay. So, everything is a combination of 2 or 3 intelligences. For example, one of the persons who had come to me said, "Ma'am, I have such a strong musical intelligence, but I don't think I can be a good musician." Okay. I said, "Can I have a look at the entire report that you have?" And I realized that the person has very high musical intelligence, very high intrapersonal intelligence, but the kinesthetic intelligence is not very strong. Now, if the kinesthetic intelligence is not strong, just think about what will happen in a music class. I understand the tune, but when it comes to playing, I'm like, okay, this finger has to be like this or this. Okay, I have to string like this and I have to strum like this. Okay, so when the teacher says play chord C, एक minute, okay, this, and then I strum. If this is going to be the case, if my, kinesthetic intelligence is not very high, how will I be able to play a musical instrument? It will be very difficult. Okay. On the other hand, people who have a very high kinesthetic intelligence, that is bodily intelligence, and high naturalistic, that is observation. Okay, even if they see somebody playing a guitar, they will understand, okay, first of all, this person is putting this finger on this key, this finger on this key, and is doing this movement and is strumming like this. Okay, I can do it too. So even if the musical intelligence is average, that person will be able to play a musical instrument. Okay. And if you think about musicians, if they have a very strong musical and kinesthetic intelligence, only then they can play very good musical instruments. Okay. So like I said, it is a combination of different things. I would like to share a particular report with you. Have a look at this. If you can see, there are 2 reports. Okay. And whatever you see on the yellow color, that is a genius pattern. Green is strong, blue is average, and red is weak area. Okay. So once we know which intelligence happens to be in which particular zone, we know on how to improvise upon it. Okay. Having said that, I would like to share with you a particular report, this one. Okay. So if you can see, this report has got only green and yellow colors. Okay. Yellow is the genius pattern and green is the strong pattern. Okay. This particular report happens to be of a person who's highly successful because that person has activated the genius pattern and is using the genius pattern and has conducted more than 2000 lectures on management abroad. So you can imagine what kind of a strong personality this person would be. Okay. The logical intelligence, the spatial intelligence is very high. Kinesthetic intelligence has a genius pattern again. The linguistic is 17.53. Okay. So this is the linguistic intelligence of this person and this is the musical intelligence of this person. Both the things are in green. So it is like very, very high. Observation skills, that is the naturalistic intelligence, is a genius pattern. This is fine spatial, it is a genius pattern. Logic again is a genius pattern. So, it is a very straightforward, strong profile that the person has. Okay. Yes. Any questions from your side, guys? Okay. Nidhi has asked a question. Nidhi is asking me, ma'am, can these habits or the way we are since our birth, can it be altered as per the needs of this generation? Of course it can. Okay. So for example, if I know that your kinesthetic intelligence is weak, okay, but you are very, very passionate about playing football. Okay. In that case, I need to check what is the other intelligence that is strong in you so that I can increase your kinesthetic intelligence. I'll give you an example. Now, we had come across a case where this person, his kinesthetic intelligence was low, okay, but that person required to be in a job which was very high on traveling, okay. Now, in this case, we saw what are the different things that the person is having as a high intelligence, and then you tell the activities. Now, if you tell this person you should do exercises so that your kinesthetic intelligence will increase, that person will say no, straight out no. I do not like exercise because my kinesthetic intelligence is low. I don't like physical activities. Okay. So then what you can do, find out if the person has got high naturalistic intelligence. Okay. If the naturalistic intelligence is high, you can always tell that person, go for morning walks or swimming, something that is connected with elements of nature. That person will definitely follow it. If the musical intelligence is high, you tell that person, put a headphone on and then you go for a walk or go to a gym which plays your kind of songs. Then that person will definitely exercise. If the person has high interpersonal intelligence, you have to tell him, be associated with a group of people who exercise together. Only then that person will exercise. So you have to first understand what is your strength and then bring the weak lobe up. Okay. All right. So I hope that the poll that we started with about the multiple intelligence was very, very useful to you. Okay. And I'm sure over the weekend you'll be going across a lot of websites to check what kind of an intelligence are you good in. Explore more so that you know about yourself rather than you taking any wayward decisions. So even if it is a decision related to what specialization should I take in my management, okay, if you know yourself well, you'll be able to take that decision very well. Diksha has asked me a question. How can we manage these intelligence, because it sometimes gets low and sometimes it's very high? No, Diksha. The intelligence doesn't fluctuate. Okay, at birth it is at a particular level, and if you get the correct inputs, it will only keep on growing. However, if you do not use that intelligence at all, it will get rusted. Okay. Hence, if you keep yourself mentally, physically very active, you will definitely be a stronger personality out there. But it will not fluctuate, okay? Especially in case of genius pattern, it will be weak at the time of birth until the child is maybe 5 years old, okay? But once it is activated, once it has enough exposure and nurturing, it will always be on a very high note. Yes. Do we have any more questions? All right. I would like you to put across in chat whether you enjoyed the session and was it useful for grooming you as a person. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a ton for this session today, ma'am. And it has really done a huge level of introspection in all of us. And we are all thinking and pondering about what all intelligences we have in place. In fact, it's quite insightful for myself also. It will definitely help all the students, in fact, to shape up their future and look at the best what they have in themselves, and then go towards that path, or choosing something which not getting probably what you call pressurized by the peers, and knowing what parents are saying or what friends are doing, rather than choosing the natural instinct what they are good at. So thank you, ma'am. Thanks a ton for your session, ma'am. We look forward to you, ma'am.
Thanks a lot.
Offline sessions in the college when the students are in the campus. So we look forward to that.
Certainly. It would be a pleasure to visit your campus and be there in person. I would enjoy those interactions to the most. I'll just answer one thing that Nidhi has said. Can you tell an authentic website to check your personality or intelligence? I would strongly suggest you go for DMIA or DMIT test. Okay, that is Dermatographics Multiple Intelligence Test. Okay, rather than the ones on Google and internet, because that will give you extremely accurate and in-depth results. All right. Sir, can I share my mobile number with them? So if they have
Yes,
any
ma'am.
queries,
Yes,
they
ma'am.
can definitely
Yes,
reach
ma'am.
out to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, guys, I've just shared my mobile number. If you have any queries beyond this, you can definitely reach out to me on WhatsApp. Maybe I might take a little time in case I'm into a training program or otherwise, but I'll definitely respond back on this one. Okay? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And students, I'll be sending you the feedback link. So this is important for all of us, so that we keep doing and keep putting our endeavors for doing better for you. Please do this. Please do fill this feedback form. The link is here on the chat box itself. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, students.